The surface of Lake Victoria was calm that morning, still silver-gray, with fog drifting low across the horizon. Fishermen worked quietly near the shore, and in the distance a faint rumble echoed across the water, a ferry coming in. But that sound wasn't what it seemed. By the time the sun broke through the clouds, the MV Bukoba was already gone. It was May 21st, 1996, when the Bukoba left port in the Tanzanian town of the same name. It was meant to be a routine overnight journey across the world's second-largest freshwater lake, headed east toward the city of Mwanza. The ferry was aging. Rust traced its edges. Reports of instability had been made before, but no changes followed. Designed to carry about 430 people, the ship was packed well beyond its limit. Some estimates placed the number aboard at nearly 1,000. There was no strict manifest. Tickets were sold in cash. Some passengers slipped aboard without any record at all. Families, students, traders with their goods. Even livestock was tethered to the decks. Most people were asleep in their bunks when the boat crossed into open water. But by morning, as land came into view, something was already wrong. The ship began to list, just slightly, not enough to cause alarm, but enough that regular passengers noticed. She was sitting low in the water, the engines strained. At 7:58 a.m., just 30 minutes from docking, the Bukoba suddenly lurched to port. Passengers screamed as luggage crashed across the tilting decks. Some tried to run, but the hallway floors had become walls. Furniture pinned people in their cabins. The ferry gave one last shudder, then rolled completely, capsizing just 5 nautical miles from Mwanza. Hundreds were trapped inside as the cold water surged through the corridors. The lake swallowed the ship in minutes. There were no lifeboats launched, no warning alarm. Many of the passengers didn't know how to swim, and as the hull slipped beneath the waves, the lake surface went quiet again, eerily still. It took hours before the outside world even realized what had happened. Local fishermen were the first to respond. They dragged people from the water using nets, planks, anything they could find. Some survivors clung to debris, bleeding and barefoot. Others were dragged under as the currents pulled at the wreck. By the time official rescue teams arrived, naval divers, helicopters, military boats, it was already too late. The MV Bukoba had gone down in shallow water, but the death toll was staggering. At least 894 people were killed. Some bodies floated to shore in the days that followed. Others were never found. When the ship was finally raised from the lake bed, it was a rusted tomb. The decks were strewn with shoes, clothing, and waterlogged satchels. Inside the hull, entire families were found huddled together, mothers still clutching children. Some had broken fingers from clawing at sealed doors. The investigation revealed a chilling picture. The ferry had been dangerously overloaded. Crew training was minimal. There were no emergency procedures in place. The ship had shown signs of instability before, but officials ignored the warnings. The captain died in the disaster, but some claimed he'd been drinking the night before. In the aftermath, the transport minister was dismissed. Reforms were promised. But many believed the tragedy reflected a deeper failure, an indifference to rural lives, poor safety standards, and a refusal to heed the lessons of the past. And then, the silence came. The Bukoba tragedy barely registered in international headlines. Even within Tanzania, it was quickly eclipsed by politics. A few plaques were installed. A mass grave was dug near Mwanza. But on the water, nothing changed. Lake Victoria has always been beautiful and dangerous. The fog comes fast. The storms roll in without warning. And even today, dozens of ferries cross that lake with overloaded decks and no radio calls. The MV Bukoba lies beneath the surface still, its twisted hull a grave for nearly 1,000 souls. If you ever visit the lake on a quiet morning, You might see a ferry gliding across the glassy water, the wake trailing behind like a scar. But below, far below, there's another ship, silent and sunken, waiting in the dark. Thank you for listening to the Sunken Ledger. Subscribe for more true stories from the depths.